privilege of being elected. It's one of the great honors that anyone can possibly be bestowed with, being elected by their citizens in order to serve them. And I know that Governor-elect Spanberger feels the exact same way today. A great honor to be elected. In Virginia, the truth is, governors serve one term. It's been that way for centuries. And therefore, every governor comes into office recognizing that they are receiving a baton from the previous governor and will be handing that baton to the next governor in 4 years. And that is exactly what is happening over the course of the next 10 or so weeks. Over the course of the next roughly 10 weeks, Governor-elect Spanberger will build her team. She will run her transition, and we will support her in that process so that she and her team can hit the ground running. Again, one of the truths of the great Commonwealth of Virginia is that this transition happens every 4 years. And therefore, we have a very clear responsibility. Responsibility one is to finish strong. We came in 4 years ago with an incredibly ambitious agenda, and we have worked diligently, tirelessly against that agenda, and we've accomplished an extraordinary amount. And I do believe that we will hand that baton to the governor-elect, and she will step into a Virginia that is stronger than it's ever been. A Virginia that is seeing record job growth, record investment, and record opportunity. A safer Virginia. A Virginia today that recognizes that excellence in education translates into students being prepared for that great opportunity that record jobs and record business growth represent. We have a Virginia that today has safeguarded God's great gifts to the Commonwealth. And I'm incredibly proud of the work that we have done in order to safeguard those great gifts to the Commonwealth. And we have worked together in order to meet extraordinary moments, transforming behavioral health, working together to create cell phone-free education, of course, stepping up over the course of the last week to provide the equivalent of SNAP benefits to Virginians in need to make sure that those who need assistance get that assistance. But this is what Virginians do, and that is the responsibility of a governor to prepare Virginia for the next governor and to hand that governor a Commonwealth that is stronger than when, in my case, he came in. And as I said, I believe we are going to present to Governor-elect Spanberger a Virginia that is stronger than it has ever been. And so with that, again, I congratulate her on her victory last night. We are committed to work with their transition team to make sure they are prepared and ready to go on day one. And most importantly, we are committed to running through the tape and making sure that Virginia is exactly what we know she is, the best place in America to live and work and raise a family. And so with that, again, I want to thank all of the candidates that ran. I particularly want to thank Winsome and John and Jason for their dedication during the campaign season. And I want to thank Winsome and Jason for their partnership during this incredible 3-year and 10-month journey with 2 more to go in order to finish strong. They have been extraordinary partners, extraordinary public servants, and their character is beyond reproach. And finally, I ask for God's blessings on the Commonwealth. I ask for God's blessings on the incoming administration. And I most importantly ask for God's blessings on all Virginians. And so with that, thank you for coming, and I am happy to take a few questions. Thank you. Perfect. Let's go here first.
Governor, the election
Well, let me just begin with there are going to be pundit after pundit after pundit who will unpick the results in Virginia, in New Jersey, in New York, and have lots of theories. I, as a governor, will today do exactly what I knew I would be doing today, regardless of the outcome, and that is preparing to finish strong and hand the next governor the best possible Virginia that I can hand her. It was going to be a her one way or the other. And therefore, that's what we're focused on. I do think that the government shutdown is a big challenge. It is a big, big challenge. I have been vocal about it. I think that we have 330,000 federal workers in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And to have this shutdown extending as the longest shutdown ever has been extraordinary for so many Virginians. People are going without paychecks. They're worried about mortgages and rent. They're worried about how they're going to feed their families. The challenge of this government shutdown is real. And I am incredibly understanding of that challenge for all Virginians. And I think it caused quite a turnout yesterday. With that said, that's why we have been so focused on making sure that, particularly when it comes to providing food assistance to the most vulnerable Virginians, we're just not going to let that get interrupted. And I call on our senators to vote to open the government and then sort this thing out. But this has been an incredibly disruptive time for Virginians to see the government now shut for over a month, to see our military worry about whether they're going to get paid, our air traffic controllers and TSA folks at the airports not getting paid. But again, we have 330,000 government workers in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I can't imagine how disruptive this has been for their families. And so I do believe that had a major impact on yesterday. Yes, sir.
Governor, prior to the shutdown, there were federal layoffs as well, and there were also supporters of the village cuts. Do you believe that there should have been a different type of messaging for the Republicans in office?
Yeah, so again, there will be pundits who opine on this, but I can only repeat my general belief, which is first and foremost, I am very, very understanding of the pain that being laid off means. I've said many times my father got laid off twice when I was growing up. Our job is to create jobs in Virginia, to make sure that people have pathways to extraordinary lives. And that's what we've done. We have 277,000 more people working today than when we started. There's hundreds of thousands of open and available jobs. There's $143 billion of commitments from companies to expand in the Commonwealth. That's as much as the last 5 administrations combined. That underpins another 85,000 jobs and 40,000 construction jobs. At the end of the day, that's what we have to focus on. And the disruption that I know that so many families have felt, we have tried to meet with opportunity to find new pathways and new careers, and to help them in that transition, where we have had training support. We continue to have training support. We continue to have access to all of our unemployment benefits. And I once again believe that the future in Virginia is underpinned by our economic and business growth. And at the heart of the Commonwealth's future has to be growth, and therefore business-friendly environments, and therefore making sure that companies know that they will find the best operating capabilities, the best talent, and the best way to be successful in Virginia to continue to grow has to be at the heart of every administration. And that's why I've been so focused on it for the last 4 years. Yes, sir. Dave.
You've got pretty strong, a couple of very big things hanging, Medicaid forecast, intentional and the Safe States Initiative. What are we going to see in the next couple of months?
Well, of course, I've got one last budget to prepare. And I have said recently that people who believe that Medicaid spending is going to go down have been misinforming everyone. Medicaid spending is going to go up, and that is a commitment in order to support Medicaid recipients. How much it goes up, we're still working on. You may have seen in the recent report that I believe that the overall rebenchmarking is inappropriately affected by the poor performance, operating performance of one of the managed care organizations, which has skewed the overall Medicaid reforecasting. We're going back and assessing that to make sure that we're not allowing one poor performer to drive up costs unnecessarily across the whole system. Second of all, there is a fair amount of waste and abuse that I'm really worried about, and fraud. And so we're digging into that so that we can come back with what will be, $1 billion plus a year, I believe, in incremental Medicaid support. But I want to make sure it's the right number. I've said over and over again that Medicaid is not going to be reduced. It's going to be increased in Virginia. And the big question right now is, what's the appropriate amount? That's what we're working through. Yeah, again, with Safe Kids and K through 12 education, these are our big areas of making sure we get it right. Again, the Commonwealth has seen a surplus already through the first 4 months. I can't opine yet on October's results, but we've seen our first a continued surplus. That has allowed us to take on the parallel SNAP benefit program, which is literally mimicking the SNAP benefits that are not being paid to Virginians today. But it also allows us to be in a position to take on some of these responsibilities. But the key to everything is to make sure that we are doing the right work to assess the right amount of incremental spending for Medicaid, the right amount of incremental spending for K through 12, because there will be incremental spending, and the right amount for Safe Kids. And for SNAP. Well, for SNAP, what we're going to see in SNAP are two things. One, and I encourage everybody, call senators and tell them to open up the government. I've said this over and over again. Vote yes on a clean CR and get the government open. And so the supplemental SNAP benefits that we are paralleling, of course, will end. But bringing down the SNAP incremental costs by reducing our error rates is a top priority. There's no reason why Virginia should have an 11% error rate in administering SNAP. And so we have had a massive transformation effort underway. I issued an executive order to do exactly that. I believe we will bring down the SNAP error rate and therefore not have to effectively pay the penalty that comes with having a high error rate. The degree to which we can bring it down is what we're working on now. Of course, the goal is no errors, but we were running at an 11% error rate, so we've got real work to do. But there's real opportunity for improvement. Emily, hang on, come right back. Yes, sir. Well, I believe that Virginians thoroughly support what we've been doing. I mean, at the end of the day, when people say, is the state heading in the right direction? People say yes. So bottom line is more jobs, safer communities, excellence in education, making sure that we are taking care of your money because it is your money. We've run $10 billion of surpluses and we've had $9 billion of tax relief. As I said, I firmly believe that particularly the government shutdown was a very, very big challenge as we ran into this election. And we have 330,000 government workers here that weren't getting paid. That is a real challenge heading into an election. And therefore, I, again, encourage the Senate to please open the government because Virginians are hurting. And it's time for the government to get back open and then for you all to do your work. Thanks. Yes, sir. Oh, my goodness. Well, I've said since the day I was elected that people have been always asking me about my future political ambitions, and now I'm 4 years in and you're still asking me the same question. And I will repeat to you the exact same answer I've given. My focus has been, will be, and will continue to be on the Commonwealth of Virginia up until the last second I'm in this position. And we have been focused for a reason, that we have felt and I think demonstrated that common sense solutions work. When you create a business-friendly environment, reducing regulations, and strategically recruiting businesses, you can drive economic growth to a level it's never been seen before. And as I said earlier, The $143 billion of commitments from companies to grow here is more than the last 5 administrations combined. We have seen a fundamental shift in Virginia's economic growth from government to the private sector. And it's been not just headquarters, it's manufacturing and logistics and R&D all over the Commonwealth. And it has stretched from Virginia Beach to Lee County and from Danville to Loudoun. That is huge, and the future of the Commonwealth will continue to be to make sure that we have the most business-friendly environment in order to attract jobs. I'll remind everybody, 70% of our budget, 70% of our budget every year is driven by individual taxes. Driven by individual taxes. And therefore, to have a strong revenue base, you have to have a lot of Virginians working. And therefore, when we have a lot of Virginians working, we run surplus after surplus. That requires jobs. And if I have one great piece of advice for anyone who is serving in governor, whether it's Governor-elect Spanberger or 10 governors from now, it's we must continue to drive economic prosperity through job creation. And that is at the heart of everything. It's the heart of everything. We have a Virginia where people get to choose what businesses come, which ones don't, whether people want to live here or they don't. And those are really clear measures. And when we're able to attract a lot of business because we are a right-to-work state, we have extraordinary talent, we've invested in making sites ready, and on top of that, we are able to once again work from administration to administration and maintain that foundational principle of being business-friendly, Virginians thrive. And that's the heart to everything. That allows us then to have record investments in K through 12 education like we've done, where we have literally increased per pupil spending since before the administration today by 50%. It allows us to have record investment in law enforcement, record investment in taking care of God's gifts to the Commonwealth, and also $9 billion of tax relief. This is a really, really straightforward, common sense formula that works. And I again feel strongly that this is a template for moving forward, whoever the governor is, in order to make sure that Virginia continues to have this vibrant opportunity system that provides jobs, jobs, and more jobs. Perfect.
Time for one more.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So APLS, Jay Jones, the controller reform expectations last night. Do you see that as the people voting for him endorsing or at least showing a tolerance for the kind of content in the text messages he sent 3 years ago?
Yeah, I have to say I am incredibly concerned about the Attorney General-elect's ability to do the job based on the text that he sent. They were abhorrent, and I think that they once again reiterate that you can't come into this job if you are espousing death on a political enemy, the death of children, and the death of law enforcement. I believe, just as I've always believed, that disqualifies him for the job. The next administration is going to have to figure out how to deal with that, because they have law enforcement that they're going to need to make sure feel good about doing the job. They're going to have to make sure that parents with children feel safe, and that's going to be a challenge going forward. My position has not changed, that there is absolutely no excuse for what he wrote, none. And we live in a society today that I think has lost its way, at least some folks have, on their willingness to almost accept violence and political violence as a solution. So we had, during this campaign season, candidates and sitting elected officials receive death threats. And I have no patience for this. We investigate them thoroughly, and we make arrests, and we prosecute, because there is no room for anybody to espouse or try to minimize the fact that violence in any kind like this, and political violence against candidates or elected leaders, is an anathema, and we have to fight it with everything we have. Thank you. Yeah, Dave, come back to you. Last one. Last one for Dave.
We're going to arrest and prosecute people for threats. Are we going to do that through anything?
So what we've seen this week are live threats against candidates, and we saw a live threat against Kim Taylor. and we were able to investigate that and prosecute that assailant. We saw a live threat against Gary Higgins. We were able to prosecute that. We have had other circumstances that we are working on. They've been live threats with real actionable suggestions. That's the reality of it. So listen, folks, we have got to find our better angels here. This is a statement that is not just about the Attorney General's texts and his words that he shared with one of his colleagues. This is about Virginia and America. We have got to stand strong against this concept that because you disagree vehemently with someone, that threatening to kill them or do violence to them, or worse, actually taking action against someone, is anything other than abhorrent and needs to be dealt with swiftly. This is beyond a political comment. This is about the character of our nation. And it's time for us to stand up as a nation and reaffirm foundational beliefs that each human being is created in the image of God, and whether you agree with them or you don't, they're created in the image of God. And therefore, they deserve the basic dignity and respect of their life. And this is something that has been, never challenged in the history of this country. And we have got to stand strong as a nation against it. Thank you. Listen, I appreciate everybody coming out today. Again, I reiterate, God bless the Commonwealth. Thank you.